Hello and welcome to Homegrown Veg here in the United Kingdom in one of our summer months. I've had to make a dash from the house to the greenhouse. Strong winds, heavy rains, and this is what we've been having most of this month and quite a bit last month. I'm fairly confident that the pollinating insects can't work in this weather, so I'm fingers crossed that these onions have actually been pollinated. I got a couple of show onions given and I potted them up. I'll show you this screenshot from a previous video. This was one of the onions I got given, and the other ones on the table are onions that I grew in that year. Check this out. As you can see, the onion in the bucket is significantly bigger than the ones I grew. As I've already said, it's a show onion, so we're hoping to take some seeds from these seed heads and grow our very own onions from our very own seed. And so we know it's fresh seed because we'll have produced it. That's providing these seed heads have been pollinated. Now I'm going to take your advice with these. I asked you in previous videos what should I do, what would be the next step, and you told me to cut them off, bring them inside, try them out and store them in paper bags, and that's what I intend doing. But I want them to air dry, so I'd like it really to stop raining for these to dry outdoors, and then I'll bring them in. It was my intention to bring these onions into the greenhouse to finish off the seeding process. I stood them outdoors to give access to the flying insects, but there won't be many flying today. But I can't bring them indoors because they've grown to probably 8 foot tall. And I just can't get them in the greenhouse. So we'll cut the stems and we'll bring them in later, but we won't be bringing them in till we get some decent weather, get a chance to air dry, and then we'll bring them in and then we'll put them in those paper bags. I'd like to tell you about how this weather has been affecting the rest of my garden. Well, firstly, because of the amount of rain we've been having, I've had quite a few pots that have got waterlogged. It's difficult to tell when pots get waterlogged until you actually see the water. And by that time it's too late. It's also done for my sweet corn. Far too much rain, far too much wind. There was no pollination or very little. I've already scrapped the sweet corn because the cobs had very little corn on them. They just had not been pollinated, and I'm starting now to be of the opinion that the UK does not have the climate for growing sweet corn. I've also lost 80% of my onions in a raised bed. I'm not too sure what caused it, but those 80% of onions bolted, and I've lost those as well. But it's not all gloom and doom. We've had some decent carrots and we've had some decent beetroot. We've had a couple of nice parsnips we're happy with. And there's still other things out there to come. We lost quite a bit of celery that bolted. But we also have some celery still growing that's looking good. We have some leeks that are looking good. So yeah, it's not all gloom and doom. Just some gloom and doom. Molly's not out here today. That dog's not daft. Why would you come out a day like this? I've made a dash, as I've already said, from the house into the greenhouse. And now I'm going to dash back in there, download this video and have a cup of tea and sit with my dog. But if you manage to get out into the garden today, happy gardening. If you don't, well, that's me and you in the same boat, isn't it? And if this rain carries on, we're probably going to need a boat. This is not the weather for pollinating insects, is it? In fact, it's not the weather for insects. Full stop. These seed heads are still feeling a little damp, and what I don't want to do is put these in paper bags while they're damp. They need to be dry really. So I've got a plan up my sleeve. I'll show you it now. Let me take these off the table. Let me show you this plan. Okay, if you're a follower of mine, you don't need any introduction to these things. Rocket sticks. Collect them every year, use them every year, recycle them every year. Okay, so we've got 4 rocket sticks. We've got a couple of spent mushroom crates. You've seen these before. I'm sure you have. Right, we're going to stack those and turn them over. We're going to use these rocket sticks as supports. Okay, you're probably one step ahead of me now. How good is this? How good is that? Now my intention is to give these a couple of days in here, make sure they're thoroughly dried out before they go in those paper bags. If there are any pollinating insects in here, any flying insects in here, they can get a shot at these if that's what's required. And then we'll put these in the paper bags. The seed heads have had about a week now in the greenhouse, so they are now completely dry. So we're going to put them in a paper bag. and then we'll see what happens. This is the paper bag, big one. We're going to put all 4 seed heads in the same paper bag, and we're doing that because it's the same variety of onion, isn't it? It isn't as though we're going to get any mix-up of seeds. Oh, here's Molly. Just going to the greenhouse. Hi, Moll. Not too sure if you'll get her. Yeah. So this is all we're going to do. Pop these into this paper bag and see what happens. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.